I've always kind of had some mental health struggles since I was young. I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression, and I had an eating disorder when I was younger. I was a runner growing up, and that just kind of led to some unhealthy habits. So I've always been kind of aware of my mental health and the struggles I have. But I think for like a few months, I had slowly been going into like a deep depression. I've said I had issues, but I never really fully accepted that because I would function well. I did well in school. I've always been active. I still make friends, so I didn't necessarily think there was a huge issue. But this time was different. And there was a moment where I don't know what happened in my head, but it felt like something broke. And I think I didn't like cut off reality, but I just went down. And it was just something that I'd never experienced before, where I basically, it wasn't anxiety, it wasn't ADHD. I became super hyper focused on the fact that I just felt like I was a horrible person and I didn't deserve to be here. And something happened. I swear I felt it in my brain where I snapped to an extent, and I just got really down and depressed. And this continued for about a month, 2 months. I was living in California at the time with my partner. I went home to Arizona, where my family was, and I overdosed. And I woke up in a hospital after that, obviously had to do all the things. And that's when my mom stepped in and was like, we need to figure out something. And she said, I want to go into this place. And I did resist for a bit. I was very convinced that my brain was totally healthy, and that the reason I felt this way was because it was the truth of things. So mine wasn't necessarily seeing my scan at first. It was after I finally felt better, and then I could re-look at the scan and really understand it. But it was the fact that my doctor could look at what was going on in my brain and recommend me something. Because my other doctors, I loved them. They were definitely trying to help me. But it felt like what I was getting was making me worse because it was making me unable to function. My brain did not come back totally and completely healthy like I kept claiming it would. So that was huge. And to see, one, that I had some scalloping on my brain, some issues there. I think there was even evidence of like an old traumatic brain injury that might have never fully healed. There was, inactive parts of the brain that was, had some good explanations for why I was feeling the way I was. After that first call, Dr. Anderson had looked at my brain and said, I want to try a different medicine with you. And on that call, this is what was really big. So because it had been months at this point that I was going into treatment, and they were trying to figure out what was wrong. And he was like, I want to try this one medicine for you. And we're going to start you at the lowest dose, and I was used to taking like 300 milligrams of something else. And he's like, I just want you to try this and we'll see what happens. And I took, stopped taking the other stuff, took that tiny dose, and I'm not joking. I think within like a few days, I like got up and made myself breakfast for the first time in like months. And I didn't feel like the thoughts that had been going on for months and months just about how horrible I am and why I don't deserve to be here, which is all really dramatic, but those really scary, inescapable thoughts. And within 2 weeks, I'm not kidding you, after months of this, I think within 2 weeks, I was like getting back up and going to the gym and just like being myself again. And that's all I wanted that whole time. I was just like, I would pray or hope or, just to be me again. I didn't feel like I could be myself. And so that was huge. What I loved about Amen Clinics is the push towards holistic health, because I truly believe not just in physical health, but our mental health, our spiritual health, all of that comes into play. But yeah, that's what I really appreciated, is the push to take care of it all. Like, yes, it's this organ, but it's also maintaining that with other lifestyle changes, which has been awesome. So yeah.